This episode of Earn Your Happy is sponsored in part by Shopify, Quince Open Phone, Constant Contact, Bamboo HR, and Northwest Registered Agent. Turn your big business idea into cha-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/happy. See why over 60,000 businesses trust OpenPhone. OpenPhone is offering my listeners 20% off of your first 6 months at openphone.com/earn. Don't wait. Protect your privacy, build your brand, and set up your business in just 10 clicks in 10 minutes. Visit northwestregisteredagent.com/earn. Let your bed match the season with cool, relaxed bedding from Quince. Go to quince.com/happy for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Constant Contact's award-winning marketing platform is here to make marketing way easier and way more effective for small businesses like yours. Try Constant Contact free for 30 days at constantcontact.com. Bamboo HR prides itself on being easy to use, easy to learn, easy to implement, and very easy to love. HR is hard, but Bamboo HR is easy. Check it out for yourself with a free demo at bamboohr.com/free demo. In order to be the happiest, most fulfilled version of yourself, you really have to hold yourself to a high standard. But even on top of that, you have to hold the people around you to a very high standard. I'm not going to let you play small. I'm not going to let you keep sinking down to this place that isn't serving you, that you know is making you unhappy. You're going to need to come up here to stay in this culture, in this community.
And we're back
with another episode of He Said, She Said.
And babe, we are literally back from one of the best trips of our life. One where we came back as brand new people. As a matter of fact, this episode is like a thank you to Dan Martell and his wife, Renée Warren, for saying, come up here and let us treat you to a few days that will blow your mind and up-level you. And, I don't know if their intention was to set a new standard for us, but they absolutely set a new standard for us. I know it was just to connect and have fun and get to know each other more, but we have left that trip as entirely different people. And by the way, I still can't wrap my head around this, but they listen to our episode. I don't know why in the world, mind-blowing, but Dan Martell and his wife, Renée Warren, listen to, this He Said, She Said episode. So if you guys are listening, this is our thank you episode to you, where we actually get to explain the difference that people like you make in the lives of other people so that all the listeners can rise to the occasion and do the same for the people in their life.
So I got invited to speak at the Pink Skirt Project, which is Renee's event. And it was her very first time she ran this event. And I can tell you that she absolutely knocked it out of the park.
That's awesome.
There were 300 women there, and the women, some of the most incredible women that I've gotten to meet. I went to one of the VIP dinners after the event and got to really, really just sit down with groups of women who attended and get to know them. And this is such an incredible group of women and such a great experience. If you have not gone to that event, if you didn't go to this last one, I highly, highly recommend it. But she knocked it out of the park. So that is where this little couples mastermind came from afterward, is they were like, would you guys come up and speak with some other women, and we'll have this couples mastermind afterward. And so I'll tell you that I had no idea what I was expecting, but when somebody like Renee and Dan asks you to go somewhere, you just say hell yes, and you buckle up and you just do whatever, because they are people who are living the type of life that we want to be living, not just the lifestyle, but who they are in the world and what people say about them and what they do for their communities. So we got invited to Dan's headquarters, and I would say this was the first moment of just getting my mind absolutely blown outside of obviously Renee's Pink Skirt Project event. And the whole team was there. He's got 2 different levels and of this particular building, and he was introducing us all to the team and what they all do. And everyone there immediately from the second we got there, we could just feel this culture and this radiating of just happiness and these super high standards.
Top-notch energy.
Yes, incredible, incredible energy. And so, Dan started really talking about the standards that he holds at the office. And this will give an example right down to He makes everyone meal prep for the day because he wants you to feel good and be healthy and show up in your most energetic, most powerful way. And that starts within his mind, obviously, and what I believe as well, the foundation of food. And I just thought that was so incredible that he actually required people to meal prep.
Required, like let that sink in. It's not a recommendation. It's not this. If you're going to work here, one of our standards is that you're going to meal prep so you feel great and you're healthy, because when you feel great and you're healthy, your life is better, but you're also going to perform better. And if you don't want to meal prep, then you're out. And that blew my mind, because most people would be afraid to kind of do that type of real high standard, except it shows. Everybody was vibrant. Everybody was happy. Everybody was healthy. And when you opened the fridges with everyone's meals in there, it was amazing.
They were all there.
They were all there. Right. And so right away, that shocked me. I was like, oh man, we need to make sure that we are holding our teams to the highest standard personally, on top of from a business standpoint. Matter of fact, I was like, oh my God, if his standard is here, mine must be down below the earth somewhere.
So the next one for me was just all of the different things he set up for his community. I can't even begin to tell you how much this human being, wherever he goes, is recognized for doing something good for the community. He has something called the King's Club, which is about empowering young men. And he dedicates so much of his time. And I know Renee is a big part of all of the things that we're talking about too, where it's so important to him to help the youth in his community and set an example and show them what's possible because of what he went through as a young kid and his story, which you guys, if you don't know his story, I did an incredible podcast with him on the Earn Your Happy podcast. You can just search his name and go and check it out. It was one of my favorite podcasts, but I think that he sets aside time every single week to give back to these kids on top of an already busy schedule and running a massive team.
Well, and it showed. So this was a really neat little incident, if you will, that happened that just demonstrated the impact he's making on his community. So we went and toured the facility where he keeps all of his cars. He's got a beautiful car collection. And so we're there touring the facility, and it's incredible. If you guys have ever seen me around Auto Car Club, it kind of looks like that, and all the cars in a giant warehouse, and they're all collector cars and beautiful cars and high-end cars. And there was another guy in there with his son, and Dan did not know the guy or his son, but he went up and he said, "Hey, do you love cars?" To the kid. The kid looked like maybe 7 or 8 years old. And the kid's like, "Yeah, I love it." And the dad's like, "I like to bring him here so he can dream. He likes being around cars." And Dan's like, "Well, here, come see some of mine." And he let him start up his Ferrari and all this other fun stuff. And the kid was just so excited. And the dad says to him, he says, "Hey, thank you not only for what you did for my son right here, but I want to thank you for what you do for the community." And Dan's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, I'm the chief of police for the Royal Canadian State Police. And it is very abundant, the impact that you're making for us in our jobs, in our community. And I just wanted to personally thank you." Now, this was just sheer happenstance that this guy happened to be there, bringing his kid through to see the cars at the same time that Dan was bringing us there to kind of see the car collection and all that stuff. And it was such a neat moment to see that type of impact and to see Dan be thanked by the chief of Royal Canadian State Police, not even knowing it was that guy. And, here he was just showing his son like a really cool experience because they just happened to be there at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that's neat. It shows the impact that when you focus on helping the community or people around you, people at the highest levels notice, and it makes their lives and their jobs easier as well.
Mm-hmm. And then, we got to our very last day. We just had this beautiful dinner at Renee and Dan's house, and just the intention that Renee put into having us go around and answer questions at dinner and just get really intentional and drop in and vulnerable and talk about, exactly where we're at, or really bond over true, like just real authentic things, like the way they are as a couple and as a family, and just getting to see that glimpse inside of their lives and how important that is and how intentional they are with family. I think that just really leveled up what is possible when you live with such high standards and such high intentionality in your life. Like, we're not even painting like a quarter of the picture of the standards that this family holds.
So what does this have to do with the listener? Well, I came away with this thing realizing that they haven't built companies, they've built communities, meaning the very people they hired were people from their community. The standard they set is affecting their community. When you walk into their offices, It feels like a community.
We've built a culture.
It's not a team. It's not a business. It's not employees. It's a true community. Here's another example. We went to the gym on Saturday. It's a regular public gym, except half of that place in there on a Saturday morning was their team, their community working out. All the employees working out, having fun on a Saturday together and coming up and introducing themselves. And they were just the kindest, happiest people on the planet. That is real cohesiveness. And it's no wonder that you see him everywhere and everything is just working so well and hitting on all cylinders because everyone is rowing in the same direction and having fun doing it.
I walked away with knowing that in order to be the happiest, most fulfilled version of yourself, you really have to hold yourself to a high standard. But even on top of that, you have to hold the people around you to a very high standard, to the standards that you have. Because if you don't hold people to a standard, it's not a service to them. It's not a favor to them. In fact, the more that he held a really high standard for people, that was maybe to some people kind of harsh. Like, yay, if you don't do this, if you don't meal prep, if you don't do this, you're out. Like what was happening is that the people who, were around him were literally coming up to that standard. And we're so grateful. I've never met a group of human beings and young guys that were so grateful to have a place where someone saw them and saw their greatness and said, I'm not going to let you play small. Like, I'm not going to let you keep sinking down to this place that isn't serving you, that is making you unhappy. Like, you're going to need to come up here if you want to be in this group. And what happens is that it pulls you up to this level of yourself that you didn't even know was possible. And you get to experience this pride and confidence and almost swagger. Like all of these kids were young kids on his team, like truly like 20s, some were even, we met this 18-year-old kid who was just like so insanely grateful for what he was able to not only do, but like the person that he was becoming by hanging out with these people. And they all said, we want to be like them. We want to be like Renee and Dan. We want to be, this incredible man in the community. And the only way we're going to do that is to be around these people. And so we'll do whatever it takes to stay in this group, in this culture, in this community. And so I think for Chris and I, we were like, wow, it is a total disservice to kind of let people play small or let them not, let them get away with not really showing up or not doing their job very well. Like that's not a service to people. And it's also not a service to myself to not hold myself to the highest standard or hold other people to them too.
I'd say one more thing you could borrow from our experience if you're looking to have an optimal team and an optimal life is
the hardest part about starting a business is often getting started. Build your business in just 10 clicks in 10 minutes. Starting your business should be simple. Get more when you start your business with Northwest Registered Agent. Your entire business identity in just 10 clicks and 10 minutes. Northwest Registered Agent has been helping businesses launch and grow for nearly 30 years. If you want to build your business while keeping your personal information secure, Northwest is the partner you need. In just 10 clicks and 10 minutes, they'll form your business, create a custom website, and set up your local presence wherever you need it. Form your business for just $39 plus state fees, backed by real business experts with decades of experience. Protect your identity and keep your home address private by using Northwest's address on your information documents. Don't wait. Protect your privacy, build your brand, and set up your business in just 10 clicks in 10 minutes. Visit northwestregisteredagent.com/earn and start building something amazing. Get more with Northwest Registered Agent at northwestregisteredagent.com/earn. You guys, Chris and I have so many businesses with so many people that are really important to us. Customers whose calls we don't want to miss or don't want to miss communication with. Then OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that streamlines and scales your customer communications. It works through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or using a landline, which Chris and I would talk about all the time, that we wanted 2 phones to just try to keep our lives a little bit separate. And with Open Phone, your team can share one number and collaborate on customer calls and text like a shared inbox. That way, any teammate can pick up right where the last person left off, keeping responses and times faster than ever. Plus, say goodbye to voicemail. Their AI agent can be set up in minutes to handle calls after hours, answer questions, and capture leads so you never miss a customer. So whether you're a one-person operation drowning in calls and texts or have a large team that needs better collaboration tools, Open Phone is a no-brainer. See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. Open Phone is offering my listeners 20% off of your first 6 months at openphone.com/earn. That's openphone.com/earn. openphone.com/earn. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers.
The surprising amount of stuff that he trusted his team members with and held them accountable to. So all over the walls are screens full of KPIs and names next to those KPIs. And so every team member, they're looking at all these screens on the wall real time, and they see their KPI real time and their name, whoever owns that KPI, right up there for the whole team to see. And that type of accountability and responsibility is what makes them really show up bigger than they would otherwise. And it's not just about displaying the KPIs and saying, hey, you own this, but it's about trusting those people, giving them full autonomy. So I asked him, I said, well, who is the tiebreaker when you're making this piece of content? Who gets to decide we're doing it this way or we're doing it that way if you guys are divided? And he said, it can't be me because then I can't hold them accountable to the KPI. So it's them. And, they get up just a couple of strikes, but they are the tiebreaker, not me. And that was a great wake-up call because usually as a leader, you're like, well, I'm going to be the tiebreaker or the buck stops with me or I know what's best or something like that. And this was the opposite. This was the team members are going to live and die by the responsibility that they were given. And he's not going to override it in a situation where they have a kind of a opposing view on something. Should the content be this way? Should the content be that way? He's going to let them be the tiebreaker. And if they win, they get to celebrate that KPI going up. And if they make the wrong decision, they get to learn from it and they only get a couple chances to learn from it.
Mm-hmm. So we're so grateful. It was just a really amazing, eye-opening weekend. Like we left, we went for a really long walk before our flight and we were just like vibrating and really talking about some hard stuff too, to be honest, because when you hang out with people that are that high level and have such a high standard, you kind of have this mirror put in front of your face of like, how am I being and where do I want to change? So Chris and I had a really beautiful long walk just talking about what does this look like? What are the conversations we have to have? What do we have to personally change? Where are we totally letting ourselves slack off in our life and our standards, which also means we're not holding people to those either. And honestly, Chris and I both have been feeling like we're not where we want to be. We're not living up to everything we know that we can be. And so I think just implementing a few of these things that we saw that really inspired us, already we feel different and we're super excited about it.
Well, and that right there is what happens when you hang around people that are doing what you want to be doing at the level that you want to be doing at. Lori and I knew we were frustrated because we wanted to step into a new level. And we were working our tails off and doing all the things that we thought were correct, but just seeing a few examples of, hey, you could do this differently this way, or seeing it modeled, hey, you could do it differently that way. All of a sudden it makes sense. Oh, I see where my gap is. Oh, I see where we're doing it wrong. Oh, I see where we let ourselves off the hook. Or, oh, I see where we're letting somebody else off the hook. Or I see where we're not letting them fully own this one thing, right? Mm-hmm. And it's those little nuances that will bring us to the next level as individuals. So like, watch out, because whether you think we're doing well or not well or whatever, that's all subjective. You're about to see us continue to step into a much higher level because we didn't just walk away inspired, but we walked away with tools and reflections of here's how it could look a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this just sparked even just a next level of a standard for you, like something that you're not doing that is just making you frustrated in your life. Because once you get that standard, then you can also hold other people who are in your life consistently accountable to that, because it's really going to take both in order for you to get to where you want to go. You having that higher standard and you also enforcing and holding people to a higher standard in your business. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening.